Oh my god, okay, we're back. Because the music was really loud and I didn't expect it to be so loud and it just like blasted in my face. Wait, wrong way. There you go. He's just back there. He's hanging out. He's just hanging out back there. Lovely. So how's everyone's day? What was everyone's number one artist on Spotify Rap? Oh, is Cammy finally back? He is finally back. I was looking. I'm doing great. Thanks so much for asking. 77,000. Actually, I don't think that's not like crazy. I think mine was like around, I think mine was like 52,000 minutes on Spotify Wrapped. Yeah. That's fair. That's fair. I got around 10K. Yeah. I realized how much music I listen to. And for the 6th year in a row, count it, 6 years in a row, and not only did he sweep top artist, top song, and top album, Hozier is my number one artist of the year for the 6th year in a row. I literally, at some point, I think the world will end. I think it'll be the end times if he's ever not my top artist, which is crazy. At least I'm consistent. That's how you know I'm loyal. I'm a loyal bitch. Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. Last year I went to his concert. I went to his concert and not only was he my number one played artist, all top 5 of my number one songs were his songs. Nobody even had a chance. Also, yeah, test tomorrow. Not really sure how I feel about the test. I'm like a little bit... Actually, you know what? Here's the thing. I think I'll do good on this test. Like, I don't think I'll do... I know I'm gonna pass the test tomorrow because like I've really studied up and like kind of looked over things, and I think I'm gonna do good on this test unless you guys give me some fuck ass questions. Thanks so much for the words of encouragement, Harsh. I think I'll do good on this test. I think this one's gonna be like a turning point. I have to redeem myself. Yeah. So we're gonna see. We'll see what happens. Not super excited, but you know, it'll be good. What chapter are we on again? Because I went back all the chapters because I did my chapter review and I was like looking at things that were said. I think we're on chapter 5. It's chapter what? 5? I don't know. It's just something I've always done. It's just something I've always done. It's like a nervous tick. What do you mean even looking at the wiki won't help me? What did you guys put on this test? Are we up 5? Oh, I have it written here. God, okay, maybe I won't do good on the test because I was just wondering what chapter we're on when it's literally written on the fucking screen the last chapter we did. Okay. I lied. Sometimes I think I, you know, am big brain. Other times I realize I am small brain. Yeah, it's about even. We'll go with that. Okay. We're gonna do... Dude, here's the thing. We could be reading till 1 a.m. We're gonna read until I get to chapter 600. So we have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Wait. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have 8 chapters to read. So let's get into it without further ado. So, we might not actually be reading till 1 a.m. and you guys don't have to stay for the full thing. I'm just gonna read until I get to chapter 600. So sorry, babe. So sorry. Wishing you all the best. But let's get into reading. What has... Oh, also, yeah, 'cause we're in the same time zone. Also, I have a question. The theories, because I'm gonna probably just post a longer video tomorrow. I'm gonna start reading in literally 2 minutes. I'm gonna start post a longer video tomorrow about what I think is happening in the book. However, without telling me, am I on like the right track? Am I kind of King Julian? Am I like kind of figuring it out? Because I feel like I am. I feel like I'm onto something. King Julian. Yesn't. Okay. I'll take it. As long as I'm kind of there. Let's start. What has me receiving the mission the day before yesterday have to do with when I find him? If I didn't need to spend a day waiting for the snake of fate Will Septon to locate me, I could have done so 24 hours earlier. At least I'm cooking. 24 hours earlier. That's what professionalism is. Klein answered calmly. You can choose not to hear what I have to say. Darkwood choked back the words as he prepared, as the facial muscles twitched. Go ahead. Go ahead and say it. Klein described flatly, I received intel that Roy King has been captured by the military and is presently imprisoned in the Governor General's office. News I received from Rhodes, he added inwardly. For real? Darkwill couldn't hold back again as he widened his eyes and blurted out a retort. Klein nodded indiscernibly and said, my information source is sufficiently reliable, but I will have no way of confirming it. Darkwill said in hesitation. This is because it involves an important sealed artifact of the life school of thought, Klein said directly. Darkwill immediately jumped in fright as he took 2 steps back and looked around wearily, afraid that someone had heard that Klein had just said. Can this sort of thing be said out on the street? He knows that we're from the life school of thought, and he knows the old man is involved in the important sealed artifact. I only learned from the last communication with him. Darkwill gradually began to believe the adventurer in front of him. Klein swept a glance at the owl, who swooped down and landed on the chubby apothecary's shoulder. You can make your payment. I can't confirm it. I can't just believe what you say, right? Darkwill said stubbornly. Then he saw the eyes of the adventurer in front of him turn abnormally cold. He trembled and hurriedly said, all right, I'll bear count it as you completing the mission. Unwillingly, he took out the wand of cash from the secret pocket in his witch doctor robes and handed Klein 100 pounds in change. Although he is a beyonder, the physical enhancements he obtained from his job as an apothecary and beast tamer wasn't enough to play a role in direct combat. He wasn't necessarily able to defeat an ordinary person with a revolver. As for beyonder pet he rereads, it was also a fellow without any combat powers. Faced with an experienced and resourceful adventurer who was also likely a beyonder, both he and the owl together wasn't necessarily his match. All he could do was watch and act as he said. It wasn't easy saving up the amount of money, he laminated inwardly. It was indeed profitable being an apothecary, even more so when out of the colonies there were pirates, sailors, and adventurers. There were all sorts of people, and the official organizations were even more relaxed on enforcing the rules. He could sell certain banned medicines without anyone coming to knock on his door. For the past 2 months, just the customers from the Red Theater were enough to earn him more than what he previously earned in a year. However, as a Beyonder, his expressions were huge as well. The savings he had primarily been expended when the advancing to Beast Tamer. Later, he reared his pet and, with great difficulty, bought the potion formula and ingredients for it. He was also purchased defensive charms for himself, leaving him only a few £100 in savings. Klein received the cash and, while counting it, verified their authenticity before putting it in his pocket and leaving. After seeing Klein's figure disappear from the alley, Dark Will's expression sank. It's too dangerous here. Too dangerous. I have to leave as quickly as possible. As he mumbled, he returned inside the herb store. Once again, he dragged a brown suitcase and quickly stuffed all sorts of clothes and cash, which had been folded neatly into it. Finally, he poured out the notes and coins of different denominations from the cash register, stuffed them into his pocket, and took a fake identification document he had spent on a fortune on. With the brown suitcase, he walked out of the folk herb store. Looking back at the various medical ingredients he hadn't finished selling yet, Darkwill's chubby face clearly twitched. He took a deep breath and locked the door while resting his aching heart. He went straight for the harbor by getting a rental carriage, heading for the BAM's liner ticketing company. It's too dangerous, way too dangerous. Old man has been caught. He's been caught. I'm sat in a carriage and repeating myself silently as he trembled. In this state, he finally arrived at the ticketing company. After paying for the carriage, he rushed into the lobby and queued up the liner to East Balham. Darkwill kept taking a few deep breaths as he closely followed the customers ahead of him and shifted forward. Get me the first ship out of here, he emphasized to himself. As he sporadically inched forward, Darkwill finally calmed down. His expression occasionally turned twisted before quickly calming down. This repeated numerous times. When there was only one customer left in front of him, Darkwill paused on the spot. Dumbass, you dumbass, he cursed himself and immediately turned around, carried his suitcase and walked out of the ticketing lobby with his identification documents. Klein didn't care how Darkwill was saving up his teacher Roy King. He believed that it was something that needed his concern. They have the Life School of Thought backing them, even if they recently fractured. They're an ancient organization that was born on the 5th epoch, making it have hundreds of years of history. It was considerable heritage. Chubby Apothecary will naturally be able to find someone to help. If even the Life School of Thought can't do it, it will be useless even if I get the entire Tarot Club to help. So there's no need for me to worry about him. The military in BAM has a demigod, of course. He might not be in the Governor General's office and might be in the military base. Inside the carriage, Klein took out the wallet and looked at the paper crane in it, wondering if he should immediately throw it above the gray fog. I'll wait longer. Perhaps the Snake of Fate Will Septon might want to give me some perks. I should prepare a pencil next time. I neglected a problem. A paper crane is only this big. Using a fountain pen will quickly leave it without the space to write. That will make an unable to contact Will Septon and end up just waiting passively. And I can't keep the paper crane on me all day. In a few days, I'll send it back. Wait, what did he say? Wearing headphones, if I heard questions while making coffee, Okay. Send it back to the junk pile above the gray fog. After all, I cannot always have Will Septon tracking me. I have to be careful. Klein quickly made a decision to return to the Winds of Azure Inn, packed his suitcase, and checked out of the luxurious suite. To his delight, on Donnett's second time here, he had made a prepayment, making him responsible for the 5 solly in fees. Soon, Klein switched to the different districts and came to Autumn Street, which was close to Amos Leaf Bar. He stayed in an inn called Tenna. He got a clean and simple room, which cost him 2 solly and 2 pence every day. There was also a complimentary cup of fruit, which just squeezed from the gigantic fruit named Tenna. As he drank the slightly sweet milky fruit juice, Klein no longer cared about his image. He slumped into the reclining chair and decided to daze off and take a nap for the next 2 hours before going above the gray fog to browse through the prayers of his believers, to experience the different Facades people have. Backlund, the White family. Emlyn looked at the blood-red gem that appeared in front of him in the altar, and he seemed to be able to hear the resonating with his blood. After thinking Mr. Fool had picked up the gem and felt the uniqueness flowing within it, so as to confirm that it was the inheritance from the Sanguine Baron. As soon as I prepare the corresponding inheritance ritual and supplementary ingredients, I'll become a baron. And this isn't difficult to stage this. Emlyn thought with anticipation and glee. According to the human system, I would be sequence 6 Beyonder. The corresponding name is Poison's Professor. Potions Professor. It was the monocle. But it was only the glass part of the monocle. The other part of the monocle is right here. There, in the blink of an eye, it was Monday again. Above the grave. It's already Monday? Oh my god. Tarot Club. Everybody, Tarot Club. Above the great fog sea, a fleet was tearing through the thin fog and the blue sea. Their flagship was a gigantic sailboat which hung a unique flag on it. It depicted an eyelashless eye with 10 stars surrounding it. Admiral of Stars Catlia stood. I have a question. Okay, so hold up. Question time really quick. Okay, I think I got confused. Catlia is not part of the Twilight Hermit Order. She's part of the Mosaic Aztec Order, right? Or not Aztec. Not Mosaic. The Moses Aztec Order. I'm so used to calling the Mosaic Aztec Order. She's part of the Moses Aztec Order. That's the one she's part of, right? Okay. I know you told me how to say it. I'm just so used to saying Mosaic Aztec Order because I've said that so many times. Moses Aztec Order. Okay. Anyway, so you know how she has the whole thing with like the eyeball and like it says an eyelashless eye with 10 stars surrounding it, and Klein always sees eyes. Is he like somehow connected to the order? Like, is he somehow connected to that? And like, I'm wondering if that like order, like the Aztec Order, is like somehow connected to Klein and like the Grey Fog and stuff. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I'm gonna make I'm just gonna leave it. We're just gonna keep reading. Oh, Cammy, hello. Yeah, he's having a bit of a bitch fit. I don't really know. But he's all upset. And I said, okay. Dude, the theories aren't that bad. It was a literal question. I was just wondering. Okay, I'll stop wondering questions. Anyway, it depicted an eyelashless eye with 10 stars surrounding it. Admiral of Stars, Catlia stood by the window of the captain's cabin as she quietly looked at the sunlight that shone through the thin fog until the wall clock produced its cuckoo. She glanced at the time and quickly covered the time converted the time to low time. She then pulled the curtains and sat behind her desk. Placed on the red wooden table, there were brass sextants and light blue celestial globes. The latter's surface had a large swath of blackness, regions that hadn't been explored or were impossible to explore. Cat Leah reached out her fingers and played with the celestial globe before closing her eyes as she awaited the fool's summoning. Before long, a crimson light flooded her eyes, drowning the prepared her completely. Okay, I think that's just like a mistypo. By the time she got used to the changes, she found herself in the holy place, propped up with stone columns. She was in for a long molten bronze table. While Miss Justice was greeting everyone energetically, Cat Leah also expressed her respects for Mr. Fool, who was still covered in grayish-white fog. She did a simple sweep, and her black eyes with a silent tinge of purple suddenly contracted. She realized the hangman, the moon, and the sun were all sitting opposite her and had slight changes. Where was I? Slight changes in their outward spirituality. It was different from before. This indicated that they had advanced. This means that they all advanced in the past few days. In just a week, 3 Tarot Club members had advanced. It's likely that the Hangman and the Moon have already reached sequence 6. Is this a coincidence? They happened to consume the potion this week. In terms of probability, there's a possibility the Moon and the Sun were purchasing ingredients last week. But this also serves to show that the Tarot Club members advance very quickly. Otherwise, there wouldn't be such a coincidence. Of course, it's not strange to advance quickly below sequence 5 once a Beyonder masters the acting method and isn't lacking in reason. From sequence 6 to sequence 5, there's a need for a ritual, and the digestion becomes increasingly difficult. It's difficult for such matters to happen again. Cat Leah retracted her gaze. Following that, Audrey apologized to Mr. Fool, saying that she hadn't been in contact with a psychology alchemist recently and wasn't able to provide any Roselle diary pages. Fours was in a similar situation. Her teacher... Are we not gonna get any Roselle diary pages today? Four was in a similar situation. Her teacher was slow in replying to her, and the cold weather outside left her restraint against the idea of heading out. Hi. Having just advanced and having many things to settle, Derek wasn't able to produce any ancient... Dude, why the fuck are we at a tarot meeting? We're getting nothing. I'm literally starving right now. Like, what is this? Hi, Sal. Klein could only calmly nod. Once upon seeing this, Derek heaved a sigh of relief and turned his head to the other end of the long bronze table. Mr. World, I've obtained the method for separating a Beyonder characteristic from the mental corruption left by a rampager. Okay, well, I guess we get that. Don't say it so directly. At the other end of the bronze table, Klein's expression nearly froze. Little son, although you've promised several times in the past, making Miss Justice, Mr. Hangman, know of this matter, can't you see that Ma'am Hermit just joined? Klein resisted the urge to facepalm. Love it. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I know that, like, the tarot clubs are meant for, like, the tarot club members and Klein. But, like, if I'm getting a tarot club, I'm expecting massive lore drop. I'm expecting Emperor Roselle. And then, like, a little bit of beef between the members. That's all. And I'm not getting that. It's like ordering a steak and they come out with a cauliflower steak. The fuck? That's not what I ordered. I'll do it. Okay, here's the thing. You guys shit on me for my questions and my ideas and my theories. But, like, I'd say 60% of the time, I'm on to something. 60% of the time. 40% of the time, I will admit, you know? Kind of talking out of my ass, not really knowing what I'm talking about, better just shut my mouth, zip it tight. But 60% of the time, you know what? There's something there. And you guys just aren't ready for that conversation yet. I'm sorry. Sorry, sir. I'll continue reading. The method for separating the Rampager's mental corruption from the Beyonder characteristics, the hermit Catlia shot a glance at the world and guessed that he might have obtained one or two Beyonder characteristics that the Rampager left behind. In addition, one of them likely involved the advancement characteristic for the world, or someone close to him. This was very easy interference, since if one didn't use beyond a characteristic as the main ingredient of a potion, the mental corruption of a rampager in it didn't matter. If it was made into a mystical item, at worst, the negative side effects would be extremely strong, making it equivalent to a sealed artifact, but that didn't mean that there was no way of using it. After adjusting his emotions, Klein controlled the world and answered hoarsely, "Write it on a piece of paper and pass it to me." With this said, Klein originally wished to encourage Little Sun for being a trustworthy person, but upon considering how the world's image was that of a gloomy and reserved person who didn't say anything else unless he had ulterior motives, he instantly fell into a slight dilemma. No, there's an ulterior motive. By letting Little Sun maintain his principles, I will make things a lot easier in the future. To put it simply, it will be easier to fleece him. Of course, I'll have to suffer the damage from his honesty and uprightness. As a result, the world and experience and shrewd Beyonder in the eyes of Miss Justice, Mr. Hangman, and the others. They likely wouldn't notice any problems. Klein's mind raced as he made the world let out a deep laugh. You're really a trustworthy person. Your character is worthy of praise. Okay, thank you. Guys, I'm on to something when I come up with my ideas, and you're just not ready for that conversation, and you know I am. Sorry. Even when I'm wrong, I'm somehow right, because I start, and then I maybe am wrong, but then I twist it back into being right. And that's just kind of how the cycle goes. And you know it. You're a really trustworthy person. Your character is worthy of praise. The hangman pricked his eyebrows, took the initiative to say, Derek, I'm also interested in the knowledge regarding this. What can I use to trade for this information? He planned to do the transaction if it wasn't too expensive, and he would give up if it exceeds his expectations. After all, he didn't have any use for it at the moment. Having been praised, Derek was still at a loss for his joy. After 2 seconds of thoughts, he said with an abnormal sincerity, Mr. Hangman, there's no need. You've often been given me suggestions in the past when, I love Derek and Alger. Suggested in the past when I was faced with trials, just treat it as a way of showing my appreciation. If the world is a real person and was drinking, he definitely wouldn't have spewed out all the water in his mouth. Thankfully, he's neither drinking nor is he real. Klein muttered all of the beyonder powers of the clown to ensure his expression remained unchanged. The hangman was briefly at a loss for words. The son's reply was completely out of his expectations. He had been traveling at seas for years and had experienced numerous encounters. His outlook on things has no longer that of black and white, with it many shades of gray. At this moment, he felt a baffling sense of guilt. Your character is really worth praise. Alger quickly composed himself and praised Little Sun. Don't copy what I said. Can't you use your own different sentence? The world glanced at the hangman as the Mr. Fool laminated how wily old foxes were all one and the same. Dumbass? No, he's a dumber than an ass. He's a dumb sheep. The moon Emlyn silently condemned the sun. I love it. You know what? This tarot club is kind of good. If we're not gonna get massive lore drop and my goat Emperor Roselle, at least get a little tension. From this morning, he had been filled with anticipation from the Tarot Club, as he had already advanced to Baron and had wished to find a chance to covertly flaunt himself. They might not be able to tell, apart from Mr. Fool. Mr. Hangman likely could guess it. I should do something later to let them know that I'm an honorable Lord Baron. Emlyn pondered as he listened. Towards Little Sun's words, Justice Audrey didn't feel any guilt or anger, as she knew very well that Mr. Hangman had been the one who had been guiding him every time. The others were only occasionally giving suggestions. This is a natural result of being a good person. I hope Mr. Hangman will become kinder in the future. She watched the scene in delight and didn't have the urge to spend money to obtain the method for separating the mental corruption of the Beyonder characteristic. Derek turned around and obtained Mr. Fool's approval and conjured 2 yellowish-brown goatskin parchments. Klein controlled the world and took a piece. He scanned it impatiently. There are 2 methods. The first is to use an item that can seal the Beyonder powers of others, extract the mental corruption left behind by a rampager, and concoct the Beyonder characteristic into a potion before the thief loses effect. This way, the mental corruption will have nowhere to go and will directly dissipate. The second is to hold a ritual and pray to one of the 2 mystical items in the City of Silver. Use its feedback to shatter the Beyonder characteristics and let the mental corruption expire. After that, the Beyonder characteristic will automatically gather together slowly. I only managed to obtain the corresponding ritual's procedure and was unable to obtain the precise description of the item. Only the elders in the 6-member council have the right to know it and preside over such rituals. The ritual procedure is... Thoughts went through Klein's mind as he nearly forgot to control the dummy, the world. The first method is indeed something I never considered before. The sealed artifact Blood Vessel Thief. Behind the Tranus Gate in Tinjin City is able to seal a target's Beyonder powers by viewing a mental corruption as one of them. There's nothing wrong with this logic, but here comes the problem. The mental corruption inside the All-Black Eye isn't that of an ordinary Beyonder, but from an evil god, true creator. Regardless of this, it's the Beyonder who's sealing the powers or mystical items of a similar trait. It will not be able to withstand such mental corruption. The former has a 100% chance of losing control, while the latter directly be corrupted. In theory, I can suffice a similar mystical item and use it to replace the All-Black Eye's corruption. However, the timing has to be done perfectly, without any errors. Otherwise, the 2 items might end up corrupted. Klein quickly analyzed the viability of this first option. As for the second option, it was similar to his and Edwina's previous guess, only the details were somewhat different. The 2 powerful mystical items in the City of Silver are, at best, grade 0. Basically, it can't be a true god sequence 0 remains. Otherwise, they wouldn't be in such a pathetic state in a forsaken land of God. Therefore, does it mean that in order to shatter beyond a characteristic, one doesn't need a god's strength? It's enough to do it at the level of an angel. According to Little Sun, an angel is equivalent to a subsidiary god and can barely be considered a god. Yes, this matter can be verified. Sea God Calvatua only remained... Sea God Calvatua only obtained a portion of Calamity's Cohen's characteristic. The remaining part is in the Book of Calamity. There might even be a third part. I wonder where it's hidden, since it helps this high elf, at the level of the angel, be able to resist death. In short, it can be seen that Cohen's Beyonder characteristic was split into at least 2 parts. This is essentially the same as shattering a Beyonder characteristic. With all the evidence validating each other, I can make a preliminary conclusion that as long as the ritual is right, the feedback of the powerhouse at the angel level will be able to shatter beyond a characteristic. Then, here comes the problem. Where do I find an angel? Mr. Isaac might be one at his peak, but he clearly hasn't recovered yet. As for the saints, Snake of Fate Will Septon is only a fetus and hasn't even been born at the moment. Klein didn't spend too much time thinking, deciding to consider how to resolve the problem after the Tarot Club gathering ended. With that, Alger quickly scanned the area, gained an understanding to a certain degree. Towards this, he had a theory. Gathering the world to seek the methods to separating mental corruption from the beyond a characteristic is likely a test Mr. Fool had given his blessed. But does that imply that Mr. Fool's strength has only recovered to the level of saint and not of angel? Otherwise, there's no need to go through such troubles. He could have directly removed it. How long has it been? It's been 7 months, and Mr. Fool has already recovered to this extent, right? He can already respond in place of a sea god Calvatua. In another 1 to 2 years, he'll likely be able to escape from his seal, standing at the pinnacle as an angel. He will just be 1 step short of the ultimate goal. Ignoring the hangman's reaction, Catlia looked at the hangman and thought for a few seconds before chuckling. I'm not sure if those methods include one of the methods I know of. I can prove it for free. An unshadowed of the sun pathway can directly cleanse away any mental corruption in a beyonder characteristic. Ma'am Hermit is a lot more proactive than the last time. Has she adjusted her state of mind, or does she have a motive? Could it be that she discovered that everyone else is weakling? So there's no need to be too careful. Klein was first surprised when Catlia's attitude before being delighted that he had obtained a third method. It was from a lack of the sun pathway, which the City of Silver lacked. But I can't find the help of the Unshadowed, although I do have an incomplete Unshadowed potion formula. He controlled the world to deliberate for a moment before having him turn into Catlia a deep laugh. Thank you for your generosity, man Hermit. Following that, he switched to the demeanor of a salesman and asked Derek, do you know of the book named Grozel's Travels? Derek thought seriously before honestly shaking his head. No. Klein nearly failed to continue what he had to say, but thankfully he studied himself and let the world explain himself. It's a magical book that originates from dragons. Many of its owners have vanished. Originates from dragons? Audrey keenly noticed this important point as she asked with interest. Yes, the Beyonders' plans are selling it for that 8,000 pounds, the world said hoarsely. He didn't raise the price above Edwina's offer because he had yet to bargain with her. This was where he could profit on the trade. Besides, even if Edwina insisted on 8,000 pounds, he could still obtain Grozel's Travels and study it. It was worth the time he spent closing the deal. Audrey pursed her lips and slightly as she darted her eyes around a little, cautiously asked, what's so magical about it? It requires further study. The world chose to be honest. I'll consider it. Audrey wasn't in a hurry to agree to this because 8,000 pounds was also a considerable sum of money to her as well, especially with her having just been reimbursed for lie. It was very difficult for her. Father Earl Hall to accept a book of unknown purpose, and if she were to rely on herself, it would take her at least 3 to 4 months. This was built on the premise that she had already purchased the Psychiatrist Beyonder characteristic for Susie, hence she turned to ask the world about the Psychiatrist Beyonder characteristic. I mainly spent the week hunting Vice Admiral Ailment and failed. I didn't find the grazing target to switch to. Klein was instantly left somewhat embarrassed, feeling as though the world's shrewd image had been damaged. Goddamn. What is being said in chat? I feel like I always get really locked in. And then I look up, and it's always the weirdest conversations you guys are having. And I'm always just like, okay, you do you, boo. Did I spell commission right? Yeah, I spelled it right. Okay. I never got 300. I promise I would have noticed. I promise I would have noticed if I did. Dude, go to the bathroom. I never got it. Maybe there was something wrong with it, but that's okay. Thank you anyway. I appreciate it. $5.94. The World's Commission. The world's commissions. Thankfully, the world didn't have the ability to blush red. As long as he wasn't controlled, there was no changes to his state. He chuckled darkly. It's fine. Thank you. I appreciate it. I never got it, so maybe PayPal just took the money. And that's okay. But I do appreciate it. Thank you. Audrey nodded in reserved attitude and didn't rush him. This was because Susie didn't express any desires in advancing anytime soon. After all, she's only a dog. The hangman, the moon, and the sun had just advanced a few days ago, so they were in the stage of converging their spirituality. The practicing their new beyonder powers, they had no desire to purchase the subsequent potion. Well, if you sent it, see if you can cancel the send, because I never got it, so you can get your money back. Sorry, I didn't know. Subsequent potion formulas and corresponding sanguine inheritance, they calmly waited until the transaction phase came to an end. Besides, they didn't have spare cash. Although Alger had lowered the price Emlyn White had to pay for the sanguine baron inheritance. Yeah, it probably is too late for that. I'm so sorry. I remember like hearing about it, but I never saw anything, so I was like, oh, okay, like I'll just leave it. It like didn't happen. And I like wasn't gonna say, like, I was just like, whatever. And I'm so sorry, I would have told you to take it back because I never got it. Dude. Yeah, you know what? We can say less than a dog. Subsequent potion formulas and corresponding sanguine inheritance, they calmly waited until the transaction phase came to an end. Besides, they didn't have any spare cash. Although Alger had lowered the price of Emlyn White, he had to pay for the sanguine baron inheritance to 430. Inheritance to 4,000. Don't worry, we'll get up to 500 subs soon enough. Soon enough, we'll get there. Pounds and 300 pounds in commission, allowing him to earn 1,400 pounds. He had spent quite a bit on the whip of mine. All he had left was 1,445 pounds. After purchasing the sanguine baron inheritance, new dolls, and doll dresses, he still had 2,300 pounds in savings. Although it seemed like a sizable amount, the subsequent ingredients that were that of a sanguine viscount. It would cost at least 8,000 pounds. As for Derek, he had exchanged all the merit points that he had previously accumulated, and he was waiting to be sent out for a patrolling or exploration mission. That's a lot of pounds. Imagine how many dolls I could buy with $300 and dresses. I could put them all on the wall, and they'd be all there. They'd be perfect. Fours and Audrey were similarly not seeking the purchase of potion formulas of the subsequent. Shut up. No, stop. Pause. Okay, I know we have to get to 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have like 6 more chapters to do. I'm fully aware of that. Did you just say that just to be fair, so you don't say that I didn't warn you, you're gonna get asked to name all pathways tomorrow. Shut the fuck up. No, I'm not. No, because guys, I'm not kidding. You might see me cry tomorrow. I'm not even gonna crash out. I might cry. That's one question? What the fuck kind of quiz did you guys make? Also, love you endlessly. Thank you so much for making a quiz. It's so much fun. I enjoy it so much. Also, fuck you. What kind of quiz did you guys... I thought that was a joke that there was 47 questions. Okay. We're gonna get through. Okay, hold up. This stream, it's not gonna be a super interesting stream. This stream, I'm telling you guys right now, because if it's 47 questions, it's the fucking questions that I'm hearing. There's negative points. The entirety of tomorrow's stream, I don't think we're gonna get any reading done because I'm literally just gonna be doing this quiz. I was gonna give myself a 30-minute time frame. Absolutely not. I am giving myself an hour. I'm giving myself an hour to do this. And then I'm gonna like stop and go watch the new episode of Heated Rivalry and down a bottle of wine because I'm gonna have like trauma from it. Oh God. SAT. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you. That my questions are easy? Okay. That's it. 7 guys. You are tomorrow. Okay. Hold up. You have been cordially invited to my execution tomorrow. It's going to be hosted here on YouTube at 7 p.m. PST, where you will watch me not only crash out, most likely cry, and be blissfully unaware of the mad shit talking that will happen in the spoilers chat on Discord. So if y'all want to come join, awesome. It'll be a big old party. Thank you so much. Send that to your friends. It's disturbing. I'm gonna wear this thing the whole time I do the quiz tomorrow, just so you guys are aware. Send that to your friends. Send that to your family. Send it to your neighbors and your dogs and your enemies, and everybody can come and join. I think it'll be pretty eventful. Regardless of that, I'm gonna lock in. I'm gonna finish the next 6 chapters. Yeah, we'll put that one on. We'll put that one there. I'll put that one there right after. So, we're gonna lock in and read the next 6 chapters. Nobody talk to me for the rest of the stream because there's probably gonna be so much happening tomorrow. Forrest and Audrey were similarly not sneaking to purchase. I'm gonna fucking flip out. Purchase the potion formulas of the subsequent sequence since they could obtain from their own resource channels. Furthermore, there were no need to hide it or waste money on the Tarot Club. Audrey simply wasn't too nitpicky. When it came to money, it didn't mean she was dumb. On the other hand, Catley was still observing and wasn't in a rush to reveal that she needed it. On the other hand, she didn't believe that the other Tarot Club members, apart from Mr. Fool, could provide anything she needed. After all, to a pirate animal who was advanced to sequence 5 for years, wasn't she desired most was the level of demigod. Therefore, she only looked calmly at the sun and the others with her slightly dark purple eyes and without making any attempts at speaking. No, I can tell that this was made out of pure hate and spite. Oh, don't worry about it, Sal. It's all good. It's all good. No point in giving money to a dead girl, right? Klein thought for a moment and controlled the world to add. I appreciate it nonetheless. Is anyone able to obtain the mystical item with very potent offensive strength? Yeah, just wait till I have memberships. It'll be okay. It'll all be good. The target of the question was directed the hermit. This was because only... What part of... Hi, Wiz. What context do you need? Shockingly, a lot has happened. Yeah. Wiz, you've been formally invited to my public execution tomorrow. Did you know that? The target of this question was directed at the hermit. This was because only Admiral Stars, who had traveled the seas for so many... No. Well, I'm getting publicly executed tomorrow. Because they decided to make a test that, you know, I just don't think it's going to end well. And I'm probably going to crush out and cry a lot. And you're invited to watch if you want to come hang out. Even the hangman and the artisan he couldn't do unless he could provide them with corresponding. Sequence 6 or even sequence 5 beyond her characteristics. Catlia fell silent for 2 seconds before slowly shaking her head. Something similar appears in Beyond Her Gathering and participate in it. I participate in. I'll help you take note. All of these years she had killed... You're welcome. Oh my god, dude, I've always wanted to be a martyr. Okay, so here's the thing. I have always known that I was meant to be, like, in the spotlight. And I think it would be so cool to be a martyr, like, not even kidding. You know, like, Katniss Everdeen, that's me. If something similar happens to the Beyonder gatherings I participate in, I'll help you take note. All these years, she had killed several Beyonders and had indeed obtained a certain number of Beyonder characteristics. The mystical item, but they were either rewarded to her private subordinate or she had exchanged them for 2 powerful items, then greatly enhanced her strength and What is this word? Thank you. Survivability. She didn't have anything to spare. Furthermore, she needed 2 items. What do you mean? No. That's a fucking joke, right? 47 short form answers? Hold the fuck up. No, pause. 47 questions. Not a single, that's a joke. Like, not a single one is a multiple choice question. I have to write them? I'm already... Bye, Sal. I'm already gonna fucking lose my mind. No, I know you told me yesterday. That you were mad at me. I didn't know that you were, like, genuinely, like, actually upset with me. I thought we were, like, haha, joking mad. Wiz, I'm Canadian, just like you. You never told me no multiple choice. I was never told it was no multiple choice. Thankfully, you guys told me now. Could you imagine if I opened up the quiz tomorrow and found out that it was no multiple choice? I would have thrown a fucking bitch fit. What? What? What do you mean? Are you talking to me? Also, I'm from interior BC. That's as Canadian as it gets. No, because I remember you were making the website when we were on the voice chat, which was really cool. Oh my god, that's so cool. Thank you for making the quiz site. That's so fun. And then, just for me, just so you can watch me freak the fuck out trying to do it. Thank you. No, that is really goated. I actually do really appreciate it. And then you can use it for other stuff too. That's actually really awesome that you made a website. Oh, this is about to be so bad. Okay, let's get back to reading. I'm so scared. I can't believe it's no multiple choice. Because when he was making the website, it looked like he had put in multiple choice questions. You might have told me yesterday that there was no multiple choice, and I just, like, blacked it out of my mind. I wish to entrust you with a mission. Me, 4 is a little surprised. Ew. Could it be something like buying a radio transceiver again? She thought as the corners of her mouth twitched slightly. The world nodded. Go to William Street, which borders Westboro and Empressboro, and circle the place. Do it once every 2 to 3 days. Take note of the abnormalities. If there are any, then inform me immediately. He didn't use Mr. Fool to bring focus to the matter, as everyone was already used to it and experienced. Furthermore, beneath William Street was precisely the location of the Tudor family's ruins, where the evil spirit was lingering. Yes. Abnormality. What would be considered abnormal? Forrest asked, feeling puzzled and cautious. There might be something abnormal about William Street and Backland. Audrey was originally not very interested in the topic, but for a moment she pricked her ears and paid close attention. No, I know you guys told me. Honestly, here's the thing. I kind of deserve it. I'm a bit of a shithead. You guys are too, but, you know, it's the many versus the one, so that's fair. What'd you guys put in Discord? Oh, okay. Oh, you did say there was no multiple choice. Okay. You said it at 9:09 last night. So, like, literally right as stream was done, you mentioned this. And I even responded saying, I'm gonna die. So I actually think I might have blacked it out of my mind, because I don't remember reading that there's no multiple choice. Damn. No, I remember seeing the 40s. I thought that was a joke. Like, I actually thought that, like, I saw the 47 dice, but I thought that was, like, a joke. I didn't think you would actually do 47 questions. No, dude, that was a full... I saw no multiple choice in bold letters, and trauma blacked it out of my mind. Didn't exist. Yeah. Yeah, why don't you add 3 more questions on there? Make it 30. And make the last 3 questions, like, super long, like, when you're doing, like, a test, and it was, like, multiple choice, and it was, like, 2-point short answers, and then, like, in biology, there was, like, the fucking long questions where it was like, this is worth 5 points. Now write out everything that happened in the second epoch, and you're just like, whoa, okay, I'll write it out. Algebra was suddenly interested. Westboro, Empressboro sounds like located in low and capital Backland. Miss Magician is presently in Backland. Indeed, she looks ordinary, but she isn't in any way. To a secret organization, members in the city are often more powerful in other places. Of course, she might also be like me, a coincidence of fate because she requested to be roped in. Catlia swept a glance at Forwards and quickly analyzed the information revealed from the conversation. Alger was suddenly interested since he knew that the world was the representation of Mr. Fool's Blessed. Whatever he paid attention to had a high chance of involving the conflict in the upper echelons. Just what secret lies within the street named William Street? Alger couldn't help but try to guess at a deeper. Morning. Truth. How would I know what abnormalities will be? Klein mumbled before getting the world to answer gloomily. I believe that there will be sufficient abnormalities. I have to warn you that if you really notice anything abnormal, do not attempt to investigate it on your own or hire someone to do the investigations. It will be very dangerous. How much do you think is in adequate reward? Very dangerous. Forrest instinctively wished to decline the mission. However, considering how immense the influence of the Great Smog of Backland was, one that even affected her, she wasn't sure if the abnormality would cause her harm. As such, she became hesitant. After a few seconds, she changed her languid seating posture and said 100 pounds. Much slower than I imagined, the world chuckled. Forrest spread her hands and said, it's because it's for myself as well. It'll just treat it as a people observation. In order to gather material for my novel, that's right. I can't stay at home all day. It's time for me to get out. I have to push forward in matter of acting as a trick master. Just conjuring tricks to amuse Geo isn't enough to digest it. How should I act? Join a circus or perform tricks? Or should I do individual performances in different squares? I don't have to worry about how the people I know view me as an author. Here's the thing. Do I want you to be generous and be nice? Yes. At the same time, I'm also a woman of the people, and I know that the best show is one where I'm screaming, crying, throwing up, you know? So maybe be a little nicer, but at the same time, y'all put in so much work. Let's just do it. Life experience is a basic trait. Forrest's thoughts gradually dispersed. After settling this matter, Klein made the world turn his head to the hangman and chuckled dryly. simultaneously, all at the same time. I received intel that the Church of Storms has taken action. The matter of Banshee Harbor is being resolved. Having been drifted out at sea for the past week, Alger, who hadn't had any contact with the church, immediately recommended with a solemn voice, "What's the final outcome? There won't be a Banshee Harbor for some time," the world replied in concealed smile. At this moment, Audrey and company realized that they were talking about was the place with the ancient name Bincy, and it had the present name of Banshee. It was the place where descendants of the King of Angels, Medici, resided. Is Mr. World implying that the Church of Storms has leveled Banshee Harbor? Hold up, question time. Everybody grab onto their nips. I have a question. That would be really nice if you could do that. Okay, question time. So, the King of Angels, Medici, what epoch is he from? Is it the 4th, or is it one from before? That's part 1 of the question. I'm just gonna wait for a response. Or do we not know yet? Ancient Sun God. Okay. We know. Okay, so Ancient Sun God. So he was probably one of the 8 Kings of Angels for the Ancient Sun God. When you're a King of Angels, because here's what I'm wondering. Because these people, when King of Angels, like, specific... So when you become, like, out of the 8 Ancient Sun God King of Angels, can you, like... Is reincarnation a thing in this book or no? I'm gonna take the silence as a no, so I'm not gonna ask the question any further. This is burnt. Okay, I'm just gonna leave it. Thank you so much. I wonder if the King of Angels Medici appeared or escaped. Would the Pontiff of the Church of Storms appear in a person, or was the Grade 0 sealed artifact used? Audrey heaved a sigh of relief as she asked with brightened eyes. Mr. World, do you know of the specifics? No, one knows, other than the upper echelons of the Church of Storms. The World stole a glance at the hangman. The hangman felt silent, feeling the burning ambition on his chest once more. I want to become a member of the church's upper echelon, he emphasized to himself. The hermit, Catlia, who had joined the Tarot Club a second time, basically didn't understand what they were talking about. As a pirate admiral, she no longer a stranger to Banshee Harbor, but she didn't know what happened there. She also had no idea why the Church of Storms would destroy the place, and it would require a long period of time to rebuild it. It should be a very serious matter to deal with the higher-ups, and the members of the Tarot Club seem to be aware of the reason. Although their sequences aren't high, they seem to know a lot and are involved in many matters apart from the sun. This is the reason why Mr. Fools tactically agreed to have them establish this gathering. Though the Tarot Club will indirectly influence various matters of different organizations, Catlia once again revealed her understanding of the other members, and was increasingly impressed with them. She still maintained her silence and didn't inquire. This left Audrey, who was wanting to flaunt via answering in response to the hermit puzzlement disappointment. Even for Ma'am Hermit, it was unlikely that she'd be involved in matters regarding the King of Angels. No, she might not even know about the existence of the King of Angels. Audrey thought spontaneously. After talking about the ounce of Banshee Harbor and waiting for a moment, Emlyn White immediately cleared his throat and said, "Thanks to Mr. Hangman's help, I'm already a baron. I have a question. As a sanguine, do I need to use the acting method like you humans do in order to expedite the so-called digestion after advancing to a baron, so as to better grasp the beyonder characteristics. His back was extremely sharp as his neck and silently elevated, while his chin was silently tipped upwards. I'm sorry, Mr. Fool isn't able to answer the question of yours, but in theory it's required. After all, you are using the inheritance of others. Klein leaned back in his chair and sat amidst the grey fog as he leisurely looked at the other members of the Tarot Club. Katlia scanned her surroundings and said, "A Sanguine's Baron correspondent to the Sequence 6 potion professor?" "Yes," Emlyn replied, unable to hide his smile. He wasn't stupid from the previous transactions and interactions. He had determined the sequence of the other members apart from the world. He believed that he was one of the strongest members of the Tarot Club. Of course, this is excluding Mr. Fool and the recently recruited Ma'am Hermit. Mr. Moon is already a Sequence 6. Why does he seem more mature than the sun? Clocked. So clocked. Audrey pursed her lips. At this moment, Katlia said, "It requires acting because this pathway has only the name of vampire at Sequence 7. As for you, you were born in this state. There's no need to act, but it's required for the other sequences." "Ma'am Hermit, which pathway does that Sequence 7 belong to?" Audrey blinked her eyes as she curiously asked before Emlyn White could say a word. Chapter 595, Domain Expansion. Oh my god. Chapter 595, Domain. Without waiting for the hermit to answer, Audrey asked, "If you believe this is an important piece of information, this isn't something to be given free, then I can provide you with some payment." "No, there's no need. Anyone familiar with the Faner Potter Church of Earth Mother will have some understanding of this." Katlia didn't doubt Miss Justice's sincerity. When it came to the principles of equal exchange, she believed that Miss Justice was fully capable of satisfying her price in terms of wealth and resources. Am I blind of what? What? What do you mean I'm blind? What did I do? Good direct cooking. Has the ability to cause brain. Oh, I didn't change the whatchamacallit. Yeah, that's on me. I did not change it. What's my domain expansion? Has the ability to cause brain damage in all living beings within the 3,000 meters. Dude, my domain expansion is 3,000 meters? Why is there a Baba Yaga? So sorry. Cause the door like, there's like a way underneath the door, so it's like there's something. No, dude, Harsh, you gave me like a really OP domain expansion. Baba Yaga's the one that used to steal children, right? Am I Satoru Gojo? Maybe. You'll never know. No, there's no need to. Anyone familiar? Familiar with the Faner Potter Church of Earth Mother will have some understanding of this. Katlia didn't doubt Miss Justice's sincerity when it came to the principles of equal exchange. She believed that Miss Justice was fully capable of satisfying her price in terms of wealth and resources, but she decided to provide the information for free. Finally, it raised Miss Justice's impression of her and would buy a foundation for any future transaction. We don't need to talk about that. I already get depressed enough from this book. I don't need to be depressed from other media. By providing the information she could observe. But season 3 comes out, so I'm okay with that. Because the Culling Games, I feel like they'll be able to animate it really, really well. They already have in like the trailers and stuff. And I feel like they'll be able to it'll be good on screen. The reaction of the members and estimate their standings of their own organization and faction. I'm very familiar with the Earth Mother's Blessed, Bishop Utrovsky, but I didn't know anything about that. Of course I'll try. You're not even gonna finish it? Dude, because here's the thing. Here's the one thing. I think JJK is gonna win Anime of the Year just because it is JJK. There are other animes that I think are gonna deserve it. But the other thing is, I will pay good money if they do Gojo vs. Suguna in theaters. Which I think that they will. That's such a missed opportunity to not do that. That's what I'm saying. Frieren season 2. Frieren was robbed, first off. Solo Leveling should not have won Anime of the Year. Frieren should have. And now she's coming back, but she's going up against JJK season 3, which is smash my head in. I know. I'm well aware, but I was hoping that I voted for Free when I was hoping she would win. She's coming back, but also Apothecary Diaries season 3 comes out, and season 2 was so good. And then also, oh fuck, what's the other anime that's coming out next year? I can't remember what it is called, but it's I'm also really excited for Witch Hat Atelier. Because it's genuinely so good. I'm so excited for it. Anyway, I'm gonna read again. Katlia didn't pause as she continued. Vampire is from the Moon Pathway. It corresponds with Sequence 9 is Apothecary. Sequence 8 is Beast Tamer. Oh, hold up. I think I skipped something and I was not reading properly. Yeah, dude, Witch Hat Atelier is so good. The reaction to the members of estimate their standing and their own organization and factions. I'm very familiar with Earth Mother's Blessed, Bishop Utrovsky, but I didn't know anything about it. That, of course, I truly am a little scared of him. His height and our build are just too intimidating. Every time I'm there, I only seek out Emlyn White. Sitting at the end of the long bronze table, Klein thought in self-deprecating manner. Katlia didn't pause as she continued. Vampire is a form of the Moon Pathway. The corresponding Sequence 9 is Apothecary. Sequence 8 is Beast Tamer. 6 is Potions Professor. 5 is Scarlet Scholar. Sequence 4 is Shaman King. And I'm not sure about the higher sequences. Emlyn's White coughed. Ma'am Hermit, I have to emphasize that it's sanguine, not vampire. I won't object it if you call those humans who consume the characteristics of my Kingsman vampires. I would even be very agreeable to it. So vampire is from the Apothecary Pathway. Dude, I fucking knew that he was gonna call her out on that shit. I made it in my skit the other day because I was like, no way she's getting away calling him a vampire. So vampires from Apothecary Pathway. So is Sharon King. It's no wonder they revered the primordial moon and not the goddess. Could the scarlet lunar corona that Ma'am Sharon obtained be from the dead Scarlet Scholar or Sanguine Viscount? Apart from being able to recreate the effects of the full moon and neutralize the corresponding effects, it can provide terrifying speed, unimaginable recovery, and rather powerful darkness-related spells. Don't even get me started about the special episode. I'm so excited. Yay! The negative effects can be neutralized by drinking the flesh and blood of a living. Indeed, it doesn't seem to result if a sanguine. Among the various jobs of the pathways, there are some that resemble the seer pathway. There's no connection between the sequences, while there are some that have an obvious progression. How strange. Klein joined in bits of breadcrumbs together, feeling somewhat entangled and puzzled. Alger Fours and company were either in thought, listening in relish, or pretending to be disinterested. Everyone had different reactions, but Catley was able to figure out that they didn't understand much about vampires prior to this. They are low. or mid-ranking members of the organization of factions. They match the characteristics of being recently pulled into the tarot club and at the stage of rapidly advancing. The world didn't react. Either he's very staid or long knew of the matter regarding vampires, or both. After repeating observation, I have to admit that the world is the tarot club member that needs to have the most attention paid to or be guarded against. Audrey listened with great intent as she thought over it carefully, as though she was attending a family education class. She raised her hand slightly. Ma'am Hermit, why are the sequence in the moon pathway seemingly unrelated? The Hermit Cattleya looked at Miss Justice and discovered that the dress and accessories she wore were completely different from the last gathering, which was a no repeat, but it exuded her luxurious and noble bearing. As her mind went adrift, she seemed to see the portrait of the queen back when she was young. Every piece of clothing she wore was completely different. The same set of clothing was never worn a second time at a formal event. After a moment of silence, Cattleya said, "A pathway sequence does not necessarily need to be related or superficially connected. The common trait is that the path corresponding to the god's domain, for example, the moon represents spirituality, plants, beauty, parts of life, parts of darkness, the parts of mystery. Therefore, the pathway has apothecary of the plant domain, vampire of the life domain, and beast tamer of the intersection of the spirituality. Sanguine." Emlyn emphasized, lifted his chin slightly. "This should be why us sanguine are very handsome and beautiful." "No, that's not the case. The vampires I've seen are all disgusting and furious." Derek retorted weakly in his heart. "It can be explained in such a manner. It's quite difficult from Captain's and Dallie's explanation. Different pathways represent the domain possessed by a sequence 0. Or could it be that 2 combined is the most accurate answer? I wonder what the domain at sequence 0 of the seer pathway represents. For the symbol behind my chair, it represents strangeness and change." Klein's expression didn't change as his mind whirled. Audrey easily understood Ma'am Hermit's explanation and couldn't help but guess the name of her pathway sequence 0. "It's definitely dragon. There are many species of dragons, many powers that are not contained within the pathway. It's closer to the domain represented by the mind dragon. I wish Mr. Fool can quickly find the card of blasphemy of this corresponding pathway. That Grozel's travels originated from dragons. I wonder if it has anything to do with the mind dragon." At this moment, Emlyn asked for a form of validation. "That is to say that to successfully become a sanguine viscount, I similarly have to act as a poisons professor, even if I'm in favor of the moon?" "My dear Emlyn, I know you're trying to bring attention to the latter half of your sentence." Klein nearly reached out his right hand to pinch his chin. This was also one of the reasons why he had entrusted Miss Magician to check for abnormalities in William Street. He ultimately felt that Emlyn White, a vampire who doesn't enjoy going out or socializing, was rather unreliable at present. Another reason was that he knew that he was being controlled by a sanguine's upper echelon in secret. Getting him to head to William Street made it easier to expose the matter regarding the underground ruins. "Yes," Cattleya nodded. The exchange continued, and as it came to a close, Audrey seemed to recall something. She turned her body and looked towards the end of the long bronze table. "Mr. Fool, the second round of Civil Servant Unified Examination officials ends today. What's left is the final interview." Her tone was brisk and with a clear, delightful emotion. It was like an excited, excellent student reporting her results to her parents. From the point of view, the Civil Servant Unified Examination was a suggestion raised by Mr. Fool in passing. She had pushed forward the idea via inconspicuous methods, and first time she had attempted to use her beyond her powers to really change. Therefore, she had always paid great attention to it, reporting the situations to the suggester. The second round of examinations I was reading, and then I just looked down and I just see Bullseye say, "The hearts of humans are always corrupted at its core." Are you good? I wonder if Benson can pass and have an opportunity of entering the full interview. Klein leaned back and suddenly felt wishful. He nodded slightly and said with a smiling tone, "Not bad." Audrey, who had been praised by Mr. Fool, became happier. She felt that she was indirectly... You're not wrong. You're not wrong. However, crazy... not wrong. Indirectly changing the fates of many people, allowing people who are stuck in the middle and lower class to have a chance of entering the middle and upper echelons. What you write above? I don't even... Are you taking lies? I've done nothing. No, dude. Okay, here's the thing. I rewatched The Donwa the other day. Like, I was like rewatching it, and I was like, some of these things did like irk me a little bit, because I was like, I'm gonna be a book snob about this because I've now read the book. When Kat Leah had this exchange, she couldn't help but frown. She felt that this was very different from the style the Tarot Club had previously shown. Could it be that it reforms the past half a year in the Lowen Kingdom were a result of the Tarot Club turning? I watched the sub the first time because as it was coming out, the English dub wasn't coming in time, and then I rewatched it with the dub. So I watched both. The Wheels, as a young noble lady mistress, has played an important role. If that's the case, I have to reevaluate my views. Although the members aren't of high sequence, they're low-ranking members of their own organization, there's still a bit of influence in the situation in the world to a certain extent. Catley retracted her gaze and considered whether she wanted to use a different resource channels to figure out the backstory of the Lowen Kingdom's reforms. After a few minutes of exchange, the Fool's Klein announced the end of the gathering. While Miss Justice and company got up to their expressed their farewells, he served the connection and leaned back into his seat. He silently watched the endless gray-white fog around him go for a very long time. Backland, a coffee shop next to King's Avenue. Melissa was okay. I read Melissa's name. Melissa was holding a porcelain teaspoon, but she gently stirred the black tea, which had a lemon in it. From time to time, she would turn her head, look out to the faint fog. Her black veil was because I forgot she's still wearing black to signify that Klein died. I'm gonna cry. Her black veil was still sitting beside her. Placed in front of her was a plate of cheapest toast, but she hadn't taken a single bite. She originally imagined that she would anger the coffee shop's owner for sitting there all this while, preventing him from eating more, but she later discovered that there were many people waiting for the end of the test opposite the road like her. The seconds turned into minutes, the water condensing on the glass the glass windows grew thicker. Melissa couldn't help but extend her hand to clean up the relatively clear spots. Finally, she saw a bunch of people surge out of the test venue. The glass inlaid wooden door of the coffee shop was pushed open as about 8 men and women entered. Just as Benson took off his rather old top hat, and before he could smooth his rather high hairline with his fingers, he discovered his sister standing as she asked nervously, "How did you do? Were the questions tough today?" It might have been considered difficult for others, but it was a piece of cake for me. Mathematics is my forte. Benson looked around and saw everyone discussing it without noticing him, hence he chuckled. After the test ended, I saw quite a number of people with blank sheets. Do they think a low-ranking civil servant will have a mathematics secretary? If that's the case, what's the difference between hiring a curly-haired baboon and them? Melissa, having a secret sigh of relief, and looked at her side before turning her head back. Benson, if you're really confident, you should consider the matter regarding the interview. You need to buy a new decent set of clothes. Let's leave that for tomorrow. We should celebrate today. I've already decided on the restaurant. Benson smiled as he pointed out. Melissa pursed her lips and looked at her elder brother in an extremely serious manner. I've already bought the meat and vegetables. Benson locked his gaze with his sister for a few seconds before moving it away in submission. All right. Let's go home. Above the gray fog, Klein gradually found his train of thought and calmed his emotions. He began considering how to separate the true creator's mental corruption from the all-black eye. I love Melissa and Benson so much. I love them so much. I'm actually gonna cry. Who said what about Melissa? That's what I thought. That's what I fucking thought. Clue. We found a clue. In the majestic palace with stone columns popping up, Klein sat in a high black chair as he lightly tapped the corner of the long molten table. He first eliminated the method of seeking a sequence 4. Unshadowed from the sun pathway. This was because he had almost zero contact with the Church of the Eternal Blazing Sun. It was very difficult for him to find help from anyone. Secondly, he suspected that the Unshadowed was unlikely to be capable of cleansing the mental corruption of the All-Black Eye. After all, the Hermit Catlia's suggestion was directed at remnant influences by the ordinary rampager and not the true creator. Seeking the help of an angel, the true god's power isn't real. Realistic either. In theory, I can use the mysterious space above the grey fog to perform the divination of the eternal blazing sun and use his helps to shatter the all-black eye and evaporate the mental corruption. But the problem lies with the fact that the experienced him might be able to use this opportunity to invade the palace and take over the grey fog. If that happens, it wouldn't be worth it. And when the power that exceeds my level an unknown number of times instantly comes into effect, there's no delay. It targets me and I'll have no time to redirect it to the all-black eye. I will lack the ability to control the situation. Also, it's not like I can divine it as I wish. I need a medium. I previously used the mutilated sun sacred emblem, which had the eternal blazing sun divine blood in it, as well as the ear that was corrupted by the true creator. Currently, the mediums I have are Mr. Door and the Hidden Sage. I can use the ravings that Miss Magician hears during the full moon, as well as the knowledge pursuit of the Admiral of Stars to make an attempt, but similarly, the counterattack isn't directed at the all-black eye, and I don't have the means to divert the attack. Mr. Azek is yet to recover. Stake of Fate Willow Septon has yet to be born. From the looks of it, I can find an angel to help me either. I still know too few high-ranking figures, right? There's also something akin to an angel, the evil spirit in the ruins under the backland that's suspected to be the King of Angels, Medici, but that fellow is scheming with unknown plots and malicious intent. Unless there's no other methods, I will consider it. Yes, taking the risk isn't worth it at all. If that's the case, I might as well give up on the all-black eye and search for the main ingredients of the marionettes. It's only the dust of the ancient wraiths and the core crystal of the six-winged gargoyle. Is it even possible for a former can be found in the underworld? In that case, performing a new search is a viable choice, while finding the mystical item that's similar to the blood vessel thief is another choice. With the gray fog shielding me, I can use the thief abilities to full extent. I'm definitely be able to separate the true creator's mental corruption from the all-black eye and wouldn't be afraid that it would return. The easiest method is to throw the corrupted mystical item away once the thief is completed. Then I'll bring the pure all-black eye back to the real world, causing the physical separation of the two items. Well, how am I to find a similar mystical item? Mr. Hangman didn't say anything after seeing the methods, which implies that he doesn't know either. However, I can ask at the next tarot gathering. Ma'am Hermit, Miss Magician, Miss Justice, Little Sun, and Emily White all have their corresponding information and resource channels. I can try searching for it myself this week. I'll start with Vice Admiral Icebog, her third mate, Flowery Bow Tie, Jodison, and beyond her powers I can steal. Perhaps he might know where he might find similar mystical items. Klein's thought process gradually cleared up as he formulated an initial plan. His first performed a divination before rapidly returning to the real world. He got out a decent state of lying slump in the reclining chair, drinking beverages and reading newspapers as he quickly set up the ritual. It was still 3 candles, but the difference was the symbol he drew. It was a sacred emblem of the god of knowledge and wisdom, an omniscient eye. What was the... Sorry, a quick question, guys. What god wasn't in the temple with the other ones under, or not in the temple, with the other 7 gods? What one wasn't there? Was it the god of steam and machinery, or was it the god of Wisdom. Steam. Okay. The ritual silver dagger also switched to brass. No, well, don't know why you're trying to refer back to that test. I failed it. Is it wisdom? No, it's steam and machinery because he's the newest. Okay. The original silver dagger also switched to the brass knife and misses in the blue planet corresponding to the god of knowledge and wisdom. And the metal that belongs to the blue planet's domain is mercury and brass. Klein had long considered the problem of contacting Vice Admiral Iceberg at Venus, therefore he prepared to set a soulful ritual material. After a series of processes, he burned the corresponding herb powder, and he dipped the exact and extent of lavender and mint. Amidst the faint, clear, mysterious fragrances, Klein took a step back and used ancient hermes to recite an incantation. I pray for the power of knowledge. I pray for the power of rationality. I pray for the God of wisdom, loving grace. I pray that you allow me to communicate with the spirit of Edwina Edwards, the teacher who pursues knowledge of research in the spirit world of creatures. Vice Admiral Iceberg of the Seas, who hails from Lemberg. Klein's voice reverberated as the altar instantly turned gloomy and cold. Be it the brass knife or the metallic bottles, all of them floated up. It succeeded. The golden dream is still within 500 noctil miles. Klein first felt a sense of delight before he saw the flames of the 3 candles lengthen. They were tainted with pale white with a hint of dark green. Okay. He knew that the soulful ritual was essentially to free his body and allow the target's astral projection to possess him to establish an effective communication channel. He would be lacking in the necessary projections, making it easier to be attacked by the target of the soulful ritual. Therefore, he had divined ahead of time to determine the danger of this matter. Besides, after meeting and converging with him, he believed that Vice Admiral Iceberg Edwina wasn't a person with malicious intent. He temporarily found her trustworthy. At this moment, the wind within the walls of the spiritual world produced mournful sounds. Clyde only felt the ice-cold power. Bye. Ice-cold power descend upon him from the void in an attempt to enter his body. Then he was surprised to discover that it wasn't like he as expected. He had necessary strength to resist the control himself instead of being possessed by her. What's happening? Just as he thought, he began to see faint formless gray fog around him. This was a trait he possessed after advancing to Faceless. The power of the gray fog was able to slightly leak into reality. Amidst the racing mind, Klein didn't hesitate to wave his arm. He pointed to the coat hanging on the coat rack, throwing the ice-cold power onto it. The black tweed coat on the coat rack strangely floated up as his arms raised up, looking somewhat clumsy. It was as though an invisible person was wearing his coat. The black coat floated 2 meters forward before coming to a pause. The 2 sleeves raised up and formed an X. What does that mean? Klein was taken aback before he realized what Vice Admiral Iceberg meant. With a mouth, I can't speak. Without hands, I can't write. This is awkward. Klein thought for a moment and directly said, I need a mystical item that can steal the beyonder powers of others. Ma'am, might I know if you have one? If you don't, can you just ask your third mate for me? Follow flower bow tie Jodison. The corresponding answer can be written in a letter. Summon my messenger and send it over. The black coat sleeves spread out and motioned with the lower gesture. Following that, it lost its soul and fell to the ground, no longer appearing as strange as before. That means yes. Klein sighed silently and quickly ended his ritual. He hung up the black coat and used the brush and a handkerchief to clean it. Then he wrote a letter and asked Mr. Azek to similar question. He summoned the messenger by blowing the copper whistle. After the letter was taken away, Klein attempted the third method with great drive. He took out the paper crane from his wallet and carefully spread it out. He wrote with a pencil on it, "Might I ask where I can get the mystical item that can seal the beyonder powers of others?" Putting down the pencil, Klein resorted to the paper crane according to his lines. He was quite pleased with his improvement at handkerchief. In the Evernight, after Klein browsed through the prayers of his believers, he returned to the real world and went to the washroom and enjoyed a rather comfortable hot bath. This allowed him to quickly fall asleep, and after entering his bed, this continued until he suddenly sensed an external force invading his dreams. It was the same desolate plains with a towering pitch-black steeple. The familiarity Klein passed through the doors and walls as he entered deep inside the tower. There was still a deck of tarot cards scattered here. There they surrounded a central protrusion as though they were making a declaration. However, as a seer, Klein could only interpret it as chaotic and contradictory. On the protruded area, the text had already changed. The silver words formed 3 sentences. The first line wrote, "I'm only a child that has yet to be born." Klein's expression froze as though he was hearing an infant cry. "Please, I beg you, don't make things difficult for me. Such communication is very tiring." The second line was equally succulent, succinct. Something. "The clue lies in you." Pause. "The clue lies in you. I'm only a child yet to be born." Is there a third question? The third line was, "Don't ask me what the clue is because I have no idea either." I don't like that. I don't like that frame of questioning. I don't like those frames of answers. We've seen what happens to pregnant people in this show. I don't like what he just said there. Because I know there's mpreg in this. This is to say the snake of fate will accept and can foresee a clue on me, but he is unable to foresee what it is exactly. That feels like a charlatan's divination. No, I can't say so. I can't include myself in such criticism. Klein remembered the information and exited the dream before returning back to sleep until daybreak. After breakfast, he began recalling the items and matters he had experienced before he seek out the so-called clue. At this moment, his spiritual perception was triggered as he quickly activated his spirit vision. The skeleton messenger remained huge, but unlike the last time, its head didn't pass through the ceiling. This was because he had spewed up from the floor, so half its head was in the level below. In such a situation, it looked like Klein at his eye level and placed the return letter in his palm. Seeing the messenger crumble like a falling waterfall, Klein was taken aback. He muttered, feeling both angry and amused, "So you do know some matters. We're getting more considerate after all. You've changed greatly after knowing that you wouldn't be transferred to me." Klein rapidly retracted his gaze and opened the letter to read Mr. Azek's reply. "Stealing and beyonder powers of others is from the Marauder pathway. In the 4th epoch, it belonged to the Amon family, the Zoroast family, and the Jacob family. They seldom appeared after the War of the 4 Emperors. Rumor has it that some of the members have formed an alliance and call themselves Hermits of Fate. I can't remember any further. You can try attacking from the angel of the descendants of these 3 families. Amon, so a blasphemer refers to the pathway. The Jacob family was one of the 5 angel families of the Tudor dynasty. It's equal to the Abraham, Amon, Antigonus, and Tamara family. As for the Zoroast family, it's from the Solomon Empire, Hermes of Fate. Hermits of Fate. Fate, hermit, the clue lies within me. Klein suddenly sat up and recalled an item. It was a mysterious badge from Lemus. The symbols on it were none other than that of fate and concealment. Chapter 597. What do we mean? What do we mean? Klein, what do we mean by that? Klein, what do we mean? Klein, what do we mean? I spelled Klein's name wrong. That's my bad. That one's on me. I'll take that. I'm sorry, I'm going as fast as I can. We literally, 7, 8, 9. We have 3 chapters. Okay. 3 chapters to go and then we're done. 3 chapters to go and then we're done. Okay, Lenimus is likely a sequence 8 swindler. This happens to be from the Marauder pathway. It's not incomprehensible or unacceptable that he would have the admissions ticket to the corresponding gathering. On the contrary, it's very logical purchasing a mystical item which can steal the beyonder powers of others. At the gathering with the Hermit of Fate, it definitely matched either one of the circulars. From the look of it, it's the so-called clue Will Septim mentioned. Klein sat at the edge of the bed and suddenly brightened up. He hurriedly set up the ritual and summoned himself and went above the grey fog to bring back the eyeball-sized badge in the real world. On the front of the badge was a symbol that depicted fate of concealment, and behind it was a ring of tiny and complicated words in ancient Hermes. You can join if you have this item. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Oh my god, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Klein was about to inject his spirituality and activate the badge and set out the normal information to synchronize it with the latest gathering time and location, where he suddenly turned hesitant. How careless am I? I actually forgot to divine if doing so will be dangerous. If the gathering has Lenivis's demigod senior and he used it to lock onto me, that would be troublesome. It's just like how Vice Admiral Emma Tracy was able to quickly find a demoness of unaging to help her. I must take precautions. A person shouldn't be rash when the time calls for it, and be a coward when necessary. Klein smacked his forehead and cautiously returned to the mysterious space above the grey fog, where he used spirit dowsing to perform a divination. After receiving the revelation, and there wasn't any danger, he sighed a breath of sigh of relief, and left the grey fog. He then sat in the reclining chair in the inn in his room. With the injection of his spirituality, the badge emitted a blurry luster and quickly condensed into an inconspicuous light beam, shooting out into the air. Before long, the same light beam returned and disappeared, transforming into a palm-sized piece of illusory goatskin parchment. On it was written the words in ancient Vasak, 6th of June, 1350, 9 p.m. in the Tussock River estuary. I think that's the word I'm looking at. That's another 4 months. That's another 4 more months. With that much time, it would be a problem for me to find the marionette's main ingredient all over again. The only obstacle is the lack of money, but that's not too difficult. I now have a wealth of 6,945 pounds. I should have more than enough after selling another 1 or 2 beyond characteristics. Besides, there are so many moving bounties at sea. No, I can't be so conceited. I have to eliminate the 4 kings and the 7 admirals. What kind of clue is this? Klein leaned forward, arched his back, and began thinking hard. As he thought about the gathering of the Hermits of Fate, he suddenly thought of someone, Leonard Mitchell. My dear poet had My dear poet had participated in the Hermes of Fate gathering in Baber Valley. Regardless of his goal, whether it's for official work or private matters, there's a possibility of him obtaining a mystical item that can seal the beyonder powers of others. I can borrow it from him or buy it through him. This is a real clue. Felt energized as he quickly came to the rough plan. First step, place the radio transceiver above the grey fog to accumulate its aura. Second step, use the radio transceiver to contact Rhodes a few days later. Third step, ask it where I can, with relative ease, obtain a mystical item that can seal the beyonder powers of others. If the answer is very clear, the 4th step will follow what the information says, easily completing my goal. If the answer is vague or fraught with danger, the 4th step can be to ask my dear poet's present location. Oh my god, we better get a Leonard come back. I'm so excited. Oh my god, yay. The 5th step is to get Emlyn White to take the badge to find my dear poet. And he keeps calling him my dear poet. To see if he has any corresponding items and if it's possible to do a transaction. I won't appear in the person. Because here's the thing, I don't think he called him my dear poet in volume 1. He didn't. So this is like a new thing. Because you guys are always like, oh, my dear poet. He never called him my dear poet in volume 1, I don't think. We lose one Yowie, we gain another. That will similarly make it very troublesome. As for Emlyn, he's presently considering someone from the Church of Earth Mother. No, considered a ghost of the Church of Earth Mother. To get him to initiate first contact, even if he were reported by my dear poet or end up captured on the spot, he would be framed or put up to torture. With this plan on what to do and how to proceed, Klein immediately felt refreshed. In a good mood, he decided to head out and eat a BAM delicacy, roasted fish. Above the blue sea, the Golden Dream, which was sparkling thanks to the setting sun's golden rays, was silently cruising forward. Receiving his captain's permission, Donitz watch me get it right. You know what? Fuck you guys. Watch me get it right. Donitz apprehensively receiving. Oh my god. Oh my god. We get Donitz and Leonard. So much yaoi. Receiving the captain's permission, Donitz apprehensively walked into the room with his head up, and people stared with him at envy. Bookshelves filled the room on top, and then were different books. Vice Admiral Iceberg Edwina stood at the front desk as she held back a fountain pen in her hand. She quickly wrote the following: I do not have similar items, same for Jodison. He says he will help you look out for it, but that will require you to be sufficiently lucky. Edwina raised her head and turned her clear, aqueous blue eyes to look at Donitz. You hold the ritual to summon Gairman Sparrow's messenger. At that moment, Donitz was wondering if he would receive any special treatment for Captain, but he heard that he pointed himself to the astonished me. Yes, Edwina folded the letter, straightened her body, and nodded. This can help you familiar yourself with the similar ritual in the future. I'll be testing you on this. Both me and Donitz going for a test. Alright, Donitz held up his disappointment. He's tried his best to recall the procedure as he slowly set down the ritual and only needed one candle. Finally, under Edwina's watch, he took out a shiny Lowen gold coin and placed it on the altar. After taking the letter, Donitz ran through the subsequent ritual in his mind twice before he dared to do it. He took a step back and said in ancient Hermes, I summon in my name the spirit that wanders about the unfounded, the friendly creature that can be subordinate, the messenger that belongs to Gairman Sparrow. Whoosh. The wind howled in the walls of spirituality, setting Donit's yellow hair flying upwards. The flame rapidly begrudged to the size of a human head. It was pale as the letter in Donitz's hand. Soon, Donitz saw long blonde hair, bloodshot eyes, and a gorgeous head appear. His Gairman Sparrow's messenger very unique. How can the spirit world creature look like a human? And it's so beautiful at that. She just slightly inferior to Captain. Donitz suddenly choked because he discovered that his head didn't have a neck underneath. Furthermore, it was held up by a pigtail in the hand. He looked at the days in one of the heads and another appeared. He saw the headless figure dressed in completed dress appear before him. She's indeed a creature from the spirit world. He felt ashamed for having those thoughts. Taking a deep breath, Donitz hurriedly handed over the letter and saw one of the beautiful heads open its mouth and bite on it with its pearly white teeth. At this moment, Renette Tinker's other head bit on the gold coin at the altar. However, she didn't immediately leave. The 4 bloodshot eyes on the other 2 heads darted towards Edwina Edwards, who was outside the wall of spirituality. She sized her up a few times. Edwina felt herself being observed, and it made it impossible to commit the horror that ensued. Renette Tinker reacted her gaze to her body, turned illusory, flushing into the white candlelit. The flame lit up again as the colors spread outwards. Everything had resorted to normal. Just as Donitz removed the wall of spirituality, he heard the captain say in a deep voice, "That's not an ordinary creature from the spirit world." Not an ordinary creature from the spirit world. Donitz was stunned. He knew that the captain's profession was a researcher of the spirit world creatures. If she said it wasn't ordinary, it definitely wasn't one. It was far more extraordinary than ordinary. Gairman Sparrow really is a man with many secrets, Donitz reflected. Backlund Cherrybow, Fours mustered every fiber in her body before she triumphed over the laziness brought from the fireplace. She switched to the thick dark blue cotton dress wrapped in a light scarf around her, and wore her warm lady's hat in not too cold temperatures. Aside from the cold that seeped through her bones thanks to the prevailing fog, she took a carriage to William Street. She shook the cold air and took herself that this was a common excursion for an author to gather material outside. There was no need for her to be nervous or appear abnormal. Hold up. What am I saying wrong? No, I know the quiz was. I know it was. I'm just gonna say her first name. I'm not gonna say her last name anymore. Because I honestly just probably can't. Tyneker? Is it Tyneker? Renette Tyneker? Okay, I got it. Taking a few steps forward, Fours entered the coffee shop and sat by the window. She drank the thick, warm liquid. She observed the pedestrians and houses across the road. There's nothing abnormal. There's no fighting or thief at all. This is the place where the rich live, so the security is much better than Eastborough. Oh! That's the photo you used for my slander post, was her. Thanks so much. He's really tall and muscular like a bear. He also has companions. Are those people from Intis? They really wear exaggerated clothing. It's like they're acting in a play. Backland is indeed the capital of capitals. I can meet many foreigners here. Forrest gradually forgot her goal and opened up her notebook to record down material for a novel. See, she's fucking useless. After she finished her coffee, she circled the street and left after finding nothing particular. She planned to come back again on Tuesday. After taking Edwina's reply from the letter of Renette hands, Klein watched as the messenger vanished, confirming that she hadn't asked for additional gold coins. From the look of it, using a gold coin for the ritual material works. He smiled, feeling pleased with himself as he opened the letter. If you ever want a rage bait chat, just tell him the truth about fours. With a fruitless answer, he planned on going out for a walk the streets, seek a chance to engage in the true acting as to conceal the principles. At this moment, he heard knocking at the door. It was Captain Elland. Klein suddenly opened the door and said, I was just about to look for you. Ellen chuckled and said, there's no need. As long as you register a place with your identity, I'll be able to know where you're staying. The Governor General's office and the military have quite good control in the inns after all. Klein nodded without a word. Ellen turned his body halfway and pointed to the corridor. I'll bring you to see someone. The White Agate is about to return to Prince Harbor. If you need help or have any information to provide, you can find him. We're often generous when it comes to payment. This was what Klein had previously mentioned to him before. All right. Klein reached out the coat rack, and after wearing his coats, Ellen led him straight to the Miss Leaf bar in the corner inside. In the basement of the Amherst Leaf bar, Worm-tongue Mither King looked at strongman Ozil opposite him and said, some of these names are just tongue twisters. And asked, have you gathered the recent intel about Blazing Donuts? Yes, Ozil said with a smile. Last week, Blue-Eyed Meth saw Blazing Donuts with an unknown adventurer. Chapter 598, Windfall. These are like longer chapters too. Okay, second to last chapter. In the corner of the Amherst Leaf bar, Ellen found a man wearing a coffee-colored jacket, patted him on the shoulder, and laughed. Why are you drinking Lanty-proof? The man, within his 30s, had a rather common face, and was obvious that he had Loan blood running through his veins. He had brown hair and eyes with a somewhat high nose bridge. His tipsy appearance instantly vanished as his eyes turned sharp. He swept his glance at Ellen and Klein before his eyes turned turbid again. I love this volume. It's so good. It's so good. And this is the first volume where I feel like I can actually make like a guess. Actually, it was literally just that one paragraph. But like the volume in general, I feel like I can actually make a guess of what's happening and kind of understand it. He swept a glance at Ellen and Klein before his eyes turned turbid again. He said, sounding completely intoxicated, I've already drunk. I'm drinking Zahar. to lessen the effects of the alcohol. Zahar was a locally produced malt beer. It was cheap and tasted quite good. Ellen chuckled and pointed at Klein. Garamond Sparrow. Then he introduced the man to Klein. Oz Kent. You can call him Kent. Chant among yourselves. I'll have to return to make preparations. I'll be setting off early tomorrow morning. He waved his hands and left without any hesitation. We don't need to talk about that. We don't need to talk about that. I'm actually kind of scared for the next couple volumes, because I feel like it's going to be sad. Klein pulled over a nearby chair and sat down. He didn't get any alcohol as he expressionlessly looked at Oz Kent. The staring made Kent feel extremely uncomfortable as he downed a mouthful of Zahar and said, "Find me if there's anything in the future. You'll be paid as long as you provide me intel of value, or if you help us do certain things." He wasn't worried that the drunkards around them would hear their conversation, as many gangs and pirate crews would say the same thing. The words used to rope the information were usually the same. All right, Klein had a strong urge to ask if he could be reimbursed for dressing up as Helen to assassinate Vice Admiral Aylman, despite it being paid by Donitz. However, it was just a thought. Oz Kent chuckled while appearing completely drunk. "I heard Ellen mention some things about you, but I have to remind you that one shouldn't be too crazy out at sea. You need to take note and try your best not to provoke the pirates. What I mean is not to fight them head on. Privately providing us information would be fine. We need to keep a secret for you." This time he had clearly expressed his voice. Seeing no response from Garamond Sparrow, he added, "Pirates would bother with any civilist code, nor will they abide by the kingdom's laws or rules. If you have a family at different port cities or some island colony, they'd definitely be capable of attacking the family." Family? Klein fell silent for a second before calmly saying, "I don't have a family." Oz Kent was nearly at a loss for words. All he could do was say, "They'll will also attack your friends." Then he heard Garamond Sparrow reply in an upturned tone, "I don't have friends." Oz Kent instantly choked up. He subconsciously drank a mouthful of Zahar beer and calmed himself. After coughing twice, he said in deep voice, "They will also ambush you. They will also bribe people to learn about your schedule and intercept your ship. At sea, a single person's strength is often so inconsequential." Klein said rather calmly, "I wouldn't reject them from giving me money. That's basic courtesy." Giving money, Oz Kent was clearly taken aback as he found Garamond Sparrow's words incomprehensible. A few seconds later, he realized that the man was treating pirates as mobile bounties. He drank mouthful after mouthful of beer, momentarily at a loss for words. In the basement of the Amiss Leaf Bar, an unknown adventurer, Wormtongue Mither King's mind stirred as he sat straight up. Strongman Ozzel nodded. According to Blue-Eyed Meth, the adventurer is new. He's likely hasn't been to the archipelago for long, but Meth felt like he was considerably dangerous. Considerably dangerous? Could he be the person who killed Steel Mavetti and company with Blazing Donets? Could it be the person who disguised himself as Helen to attack Captain? Mither immediately made certain connections as he asked with a deep voice, "Do you have his photograph? Or a portrait?" Ozzel beckoned to his subordinate and received a piece of white paper. "We use a ritual to get Blue-Eyed Meth to draw the unknown adventurer's appearance. As you know, it's different having a firm footing in Bam's underground world than being a successful pirate. I need supporting members. I hired to hire them. I spent quite a bit of money." Mither could read between the lines as he chuckled. "As long as you get to the bottom of the matter, Captain will be stingy with the reward." He took the portrait, spread it out. They discovered a cold-looking man with black hair and brown eyes. His face was slightly thin, and he had a cute face. Or a cut face. He didn't have a cute face, but he had a cut face. He wore a black, double-breasted frock coat and half-top hat. Never seen him before. It's impossible to confirm if he's the person who disguised himself as Helen. Mither raised his head and said, "Find out his identity and whereabouts. I've already instructed my men to do it," Strongman Ozzel said with a deep laugh. The two fell silent at the same time and drank their Solville red wine. A few minutes later, the bar bouncer entered broke the silence. He glanced at Wormtongue Mither, leaned in towards his boss's ear, and whispered. Ozzel's expression instantly turned odd as an unconcealed smile appeared. He put down the wine glass and said after pausing, "That unknown adventurer has been found." "Where is he?" Mither asked. Ozzel points upstairs. KK. "At this very bar." Mither looked up the ceiling and remained silent for a few seconds. "I'll go up to verify." the that he behaved. Flash past his mind, Klein suddenly discovered the problem. He believed in having some interaction with the disguised Helen. Thank you. Thank you. He had a general understanding of the man's abilities. He believed that no matter how good the man was at disguising himself, he would definitely feel a sense of familiarity. Therefore, he decided to confirm it himself. According to the usual habits, it would have taken such initiative and would instead perform an investigation from the outskirts. Only with enough confidence would he get himself involved, but this time, he wasn't too convinced of Ozzel's subordinate. If it was really the person who disguised himself as Helen, he would immediately change his appearance and identity and vanish once he noticed something was amiss. Besides, Mither knew that he was presently being punished by his captain. He had to quickly perform a deed of merit in order to return to Black Death. Sigh, regardless if it was lacking in ability or not being careful enough, the outcome cannot be changed. I was fooled by the disguise and brought her onto the Black Death, nearly killing Captain. If it were Kalangos, he would have spared me. He has always been very greedy. He had a long thirsted for my beyonder powers. Captain didn't believe that I had been in cahoots with the assassin simply because Kalangos could also change his appearance with keeping hunger. She didn't summon people to surround and kill me. She only sent me to Bayham to investigate this matter. She's already been forgiven enough. Compared to the Kalangos, she is truly a captain worthy of being loyal to. I have to quickly provide some meritorious service and find an excuse to contact her, so as to live up to her treatment towards me. As Mither King got up and walked out, he couldn't help but have these thoughts churn through his mind. Although he was a pirate who killed countless and had plundered countless ships, he had a soft spot for his heart. In his heart. Besides, he didn't notice that this was being constantly mesmerized by Vice Admiral Ailment Tracy's via prolonged interactions with her. His fondness for her had seeped deep into his bones. After, if Ailment Maiden didn't have helpers, he wouldn't have resisted, kneeling down and kissing her toes at her behest. Of course, this didn't affect the fantasies of doing countless deeds with Tracy. If he had the chance, he believed that he would take the initiative to do so, even if he didn't have her permission. And disgusting. Gross. As a pirate, he had done such... God, I love men. As a pirate, he had done such things plenty of times. When he went upstairs, Mither King followed the guidance of Ozil's subordinate and circled halfway around the bar's walls. From afar, he saw the unknown adventurer sitting in the corner, identical to the portrait, but I don't feel any familiarity. Is it because his disguise is sufficiently good? Or is it someone else? For example, Vice Admiral Iceberg Edwina. She can mimic the Beyonder's powers. And for those she had seen before, it's not impossible for her to change the appearance like Kalangos. Mither's gaze paused for 2 seconds before he cautiously retracted it. But at this moment, Klein's spiritual intuition as a seer told him that someone was observing him. Without concealing anything, Klein immediately turned and looked back. He saw a man with short eyebrows, deep eye sockets, and bronze eyes. Worm-tongued Mither King, third mate of Vice Admiral Ailment's flagship, Black Death. Klein instantly recognized the person observing him. Instantly, 2 thoughts flashed in his mind. One of them was, 5,400-pound bounty. The other was, why is he observing me? He managed to find me by investigating Donnets. The military contracted person, Oz Kent, discovered Gammon Sparrow's abnormality as he traced his gaze due to the angle he was blocked by a few drunkards. At this point in time, Klein... Wait. Okay. Klein already instinctively came up with a solution. It was pretend that he didn't recognize Mither King, retract his gaze, and get a cup of alcohol to drink. He could then secretly observe where he wanted and use his powers as a faceless to infiltrate where Mither hid himself before silently hunting him. As his thought flashed past his mind, Klein suddenly discovered a problem. That's me being myself. But I'm now Gammon Sparrow, a seemingly calm but crazy adventurer. With this thought, he suddenly turned around, drew his revolver, and aimed at Worm-tongued Mither King inside the rowdy bar. Changing the music. Oh God, my wrist is so itchy. Bang! The gunshot rang through the bar, and many customers reflexively crouched down and hugging their heads. All of them were extremely experienced. Many drunkards slumped to the ground, with more than 10 people throwing themselves to the side or rolling on the ground to dodge. These series of actions were well practiced, and Mither King was one of them. However, Klein didn't really pull the trigger, as he was afraid of injuring the innocent bystanders. By mistake, there were many customers in between him and Mither. The gunshots stemmed from his powers of illusory creation. At that moment, everything before him opened up as people crouched down. Hence, having aimed at Mither, who had thrown himself sideways on the ground, he pulled the trigger this time. Bang. Chapter 599. Oh, I figured you guys are... Dude. You do you, babe. I'm enjoying reading. We are cruising through this book. Honestly, I was only going to do a certain amount of chapters. I'm kind of having the time of my life right now. I do need to go eat dinner at some point, but you know, I'll eat when I'm dead. Bang! The brass bullet traversed past half the bar, flying straight for Wormtongue Mither's king's body. But just as it was about to hit him, Mither's brown eyes suddenly turned dark. The bullet made a turn, and trajectory was thrown upward slightly as it accurately hit the glass cup filled with golden beer. Amidst the loud noise, the glass instantly shattered, splashing beer everywhere. At the same time, Mither grabbed the cup of the customer, extended his arm, and threw it at Klein. What's the point of that? Klein only dodged slightly to allow the cup to miss him, shattering onto the wall. At this moment, Wormtongue Mither immediately lunged forward and rolled, heading to the entrance to the basement. He attempted entry in order to get help to escape via the secret path. He had initially confirmed that the unknown was a crazy adventurer who was an assassin who disguised as Helen and boarded the Black Death, targeting Vice Admiral Aylmer Tracy. Furthermore, the series of actions, which had nearly succeeded, told him that the one-in-one situation, he wasn't a match for him. This is a powerhouse at a pirate admiral level. Tap, tap, tap. Klein quickly chased after Wormtongue Mither. His eyes were he was fast and agile. Despite being in the chaotic bar, it didn't step onto anyone. Seeing that the bouncers in the basement were coming with revolvers in hand, and how Mither King was about to enter the basement with bouncers in the bar approaching, Klein didn't hesitate. He suddenly clutched his left hand. The black glove was instantly covered in dense, dark, golden scales. His dark brown irises turned pale became vertical. Right on the heels of that, an invisible wave surged outwards, and with him was an epicenter. In the areas where the waves passed, the customers who were holding their heads turned limp or trembled. The military contact, Oz Kent, also clearly lost his sense of reasoning, as though he would encounter the most terrifying thing in the world. All he wanted to do was escape. The bouncers who had approached were no different, extremely horrid grips, as their hearts ran around, aimlessly making situation turn even more chaotic. Clang, clang, clang. The bouncers in the basement threw away their weapons, either running to a corner and shrinking into a ball, or they were trembling on the spot. Their crouching rapidly turned moist. Wormtongue Mither fell as though he was struck by lightning. In this fear, he began running in circles at the entrance. This was the psychiatrist's awe, also known as Dragon's Might or Mass Chaos. This was Klein's only crowd control beyond a power. At this moment, Klein rapidly approached the figure. Don't stop. In a few steps, he arrived beside Mither. In an instant, the scene suddenly surfaced in his mind. Mither, who looked to be lost in extreme horror, suddenly raised his head, swung his right fist over, aiming straight for Klein's head. Without any thoughts, Klein fully trusted his clown intuition for danger. He immediately bent down, turned his body sideways. Amidst the same time, Wormtongue Mither silently raised his head. His brown eyes were dark, clear, without any sense of muddle-headedness. At some moment in time, he had shaken off the effects of Dragon's Might. It was something that exceeded Klein's expectations. Bang! Mither's muscles bulged as he bent back and threw a punch that resembled a cannonball. However, he didn't hit the exact target he intended. He hit the wall of the entrance. Creak! The spot where the fist connected through a pulverizing bricks. Quickly, a huge roll seemed to cover and a spider's web appeared. The entire bar seemed to shake. The power of the punch was far stronger than the revolver's bullet, but at the time, Klein had already flashed people behind him. The strength of his body again, and the glove seemed to be covered in a layer of gold. His brown eyes lit up with a flash of lightning as he shot out like bullets, interrogator's psychic piercing. Ah, Mither let out a shrill cry, but he didn't fall in the ground. He rolled and grinned in pain, holding his arms to protect his head. As soon as magically recovered from his pain, the psychiatrist's piercing, but the felt ice cold melted on his forehead. He said that as a cold, thin adventure pulled the trigger as such a close distance. Even though psychiatrist's piercing's effect could only be maintained for a second, it was enough for Klein to raise his right arm and place the revolver's barrel at Wormtongue Mither's king's head. Bang! Mither King please shrank back from his half-agape mouth and onto his throat as a picture seemingly formed. The blood-white materials appeared on his wall beside him. It was melancholic, fresh and messy. The luster in his eyes vanished as Mither collapsed backward, leaning against the wall before sliding to the ground. At noon, on the 1st of February, 1350, Wormtongue Mither was hunted. Klein glanced around the chaotic bar and closed the door to the basement. He chained the door with the existing chain and forcibly made a knot. He bent down and dragged Mither King down a few steps, but he didn't directly enter, as he was wary of enemies who might suddenly charge out from inside. He opened up his palm and aimed it at Wormtongue Mither's corpse from above. He had no qualms about grazing the Black Death's third mate. He believed that it was definitely somewhat with heinous crimes to his name. Firstly, he was once a subordinate of Vice Admiral Hurricane Kalangos, and the deceased pirate admiral had once massacred an entire ship. He was rather colorblind, cold-blooded person. It was simply obvious that it was the red glove nightmare inside Creeping Hunger who had encountered. Secondly, Mither was working for Vice Admiral Ailment, which was equivalent to working for the demoness sect. It was also unknown how many cases of human trafficking he had been involved in. Creeping Hunger resorted to a thin human skin appearance and a palm cracked open, producing 2 bloodshot eyes. In an instant, the biting cold withstand stirred in the entrance passageway of the basement. It consistently spun around Wormtongue Mither's corpse, slowly outlining the blurry figure with short eyebrows and deep eye sockets. Black but unlit points of light rapidly surged out from the corpse, combining that with their spirit body. All of them were injected into Creeping Hunger, where the empty fingers were waiting for it, forming a connection with the surroundings to a certain degree. Creeping Hunger went from a black color to a shining luster of noble vibe before returning to the original state, as suffused with the desire of flesh and blood. Klein silently diverted his senses for a few seconds. He was pleasantly surprised that the powers he received were rather useful. Although there were only 2, they were much better than the previous 3 he had obtained from the zombie sequence. At this point, he learned that a mid-sequence beyonder was a sequence 6 Baron of Corruption from the lawyer pathway. One of them came from a Baron of Corruption, the other came from a sequence 7 Briber. The former was distoration. By destroying the target's words, action, and intent, it could be formulated a certain order that provided himself for the advantage, so as to achieve the goal of restraining the influence his opponent. The latter was bribe, which was one of the various powers of briber. More accurately, would be a bribe, weaken. The premise behind using this power was to give the target a certain time, then a certain amount of time, greater weaken the target's attack, diffuse, and control over them. Give the target a certain item. The act of throwing the cup at the alcohol was considered a bribe. As expected of Black Emperor pathway, it finds loopholes in orders, while it appears domineering. It was no wonder my dragon's might and psychiatrist piercings weren't as effective as I imagined them to be on Mither. Even my bullet strength was reduced. I thought the shot would have blown his entire head up. Klein came to the realization. At the same time, he understood why the involuntarily flow towards the Black Emperor, King of the Five Seas Nast was. It was because Nast had distorted his intent to proceed forward, making it impossible for him to stop. Not bad at all. Klein lowered his head and sealed a gaze at Wormtongue Mither's corpse before he went down to the basement. He was trying to find some food for Creeping Hunger. It was unknown whether it had to do with him throwing Creeping Hunger above the Great Fog repeatedly, but Creeping Hunger wasn't a crazy anymore. It seemed to be able to bear with its hunger. Therefore, Klein wasn't in a hurry. He slowly proceeded forward so as to be careful of encountering any accidents. Before long, he saw strongman Ozil leading his subordinate over. There was beyonders and gunmen, and there were numbers of sizable. Klein's expression remained stoic as his black glove was covered in dark golden scales once again. His irises turned light in the colors. He suddenly turned vertical. Invisible waves suddenly surged forward. Psychiatrist Dagon's might. Chapter 600. Guys, we're at chapter 600. Okay. Period. Let's go. Clearing the place. I think this will be my last chapter. I know I said last chapter was going to be my last chapter, but you know, classic. This is going to be my last chapter, and then we read another chapter. So, we'll finish up this guy. Thank you! We reached chapter 600! Okay, chapter 600, Clearing the Place. With dragon might surging out, Strongman Ozil and his subordinates quaked in the spot, as though a gigantic hammer had struck them. Suddenly some of them ran in every direction, escaping aimlessly. Some kept going in circles on the spot, while others stood in the spot, trembling uncontrollably. There were all kinds of different reactions, unlike previously when he was afraid of Wormtongue Mither would recover, making it necessary for every second to count. Klein had plenty of time to observe his surroundings at the moment. He instantly grasped the situation. Different reactions stemmed from their mental fortitude and resilience. The weaker and most ordinary ones were the ones who ran wildly, while the relevantly strong mental fortitude among the ordinary people would run about aimlessly. For beyonders who had psyche enhanced, as well as ordinary people who had strong mental fortitudes, they would circle around on the spot, trying to escape but stopping themselves as well. The strong beyonders with strong mental fortitudes would stand on the spot as they trembled, or go around in circles on the spot. Those who suffered from incandescent as a result of fear being to the escape of the avoiding group. Klein swept his gaze and was about to take his gun to shoot, making the enemies who could threaten him lose the ability to do combat. At that moment, he discovered that the man who had been trembling on the spot had recovered his clarity. In his eyes, he was about to escape influence of awe. As for the others, they were also showing symptoms of recovery. Considering how they didn't have the ability to finish all of them off in such a short period of time, and how the gunshot would jolt a number of them back to their senses, as well as different beyonders when combining their different powers together could cause him to harm, Klein changed his mind and made the glove on his left palm be tainted with the sinister, reflective blackness. His eyes turned dark as he forcibly distorted the intents of the people who were waking up, and trembled man pounced forward silently. He could no longer resist the thoughts of fleeing. He ran straight for the secret exit, leaving his employer, Strongman Ozil, to constantly shrinking back. Klein rapidly switched between psychiatrist and baron of corruption, using dragon's might followed by distortion as he repeated the sequence. Soon he chased all the mentally Ozil's strong and resilient bouncers to the basement. Although there was no way of comparing Creeping Hunger to the genuine shepherd, switching between different souls required a certain amount of time to cool down. Klein grasped the rhythm very well. He easily completed his goal while there were still some remnant effects from the dragon's might. However, he also discovered a problem. For certain targets, if they were repeatedly exposed to dragon's might and awe within a short period of time, the effect would weaken and repeat use. Of course, most of Strongman Ozil's subordinates had already sunk to the ground after repeatedly being hit by dragon's might. They were pissing and defecating themselves, emitting a stench. Dragon might and distortion are quite good at combination. If Mither hadn't tried to counterattack, he could have escaped with Brine. Weaken and distortion, and I might have not necessarily been able to catch up to him, finishing him off. Yes, the counterattack of his was very potent. There were any signs to it prior. If it wasn't due to the seer and clown resilience on the spirituality and intuition, I might not have been able to use paper figurine substitutes in time, much less talk about the dodging that strike. This reminded me that even though Creeping Hunger's provides the combat strength of a sequence 5, I shouldn't belittle other sequence 6s. A careless mistake might have made me killed. Amidst his thought, Klein made the glove turn into a thought that was gilded. His eyes suddenly lit up with 2 bolts of lightning. Strongman Ozil immediately cried out in pain as he couldn't bear it anymore. He crashed on the ground like a toppling mountain peak. He held his head as he struggled in pain like a catfish that had just been caught. Unfortunately, I don't have Beyonder powers that can perform an area of effect attack. Otherwise, I'd be able to keep the other Beyonders back. I remember that there is a lightning storm in the Sea of King domain. However, such charms are too high of a level. It exceeds the realm of my knowledge. Klein swept his gaze across the goons before unhurriedly walking to the basement. This place was originally a market, but with everyone fleeing, it was empty. Dressed in his double-breasted frock coat, Klein pulled a chair out from behind a stall. He placed it before Ozil and leisurely sat down. He leaned forward and observed the boss of Amherst Leaf Bar without a word. After Ozil trembled around for a while, he fully recovered from the pain that nearly made him lose control. However, he still suffered from the splitting headache. He was just about to stand up when he saw a pair of pale-colored eyes that reflected pale gold light. He saw a glove covered in dark golden scales. In an instant, cold sweat still dripping from his forehead. He felt the one maelstrom after another was appearing in his eyes, sucking all of his attention. Klein calmly asked, "Were you once a pirate? Yes. Ozzel realized that he had the strong intention of answering the man. This was a psychological cue. Klein asked again without changing a tone, "What deeds have you done in the past that violate the kingdom's laws?" Ozzel didn't hide anything from him. He simply explained what he had done as a pirate, as the boss of the Amherst Leaf Bar. It included his plunderings of liners, raping of female passengers, and killing of innocents. This included striking down competitors and kidnapping their family members, setting ambushes to sink entire families to the bottom of the ocean. Awesome guy. Super awesome guy. Klein listened as all of the silence in the corners of his mouth curled up slowly. He clapped his left palm against the right, his hand, and said, "What a Compton pirate. A passable gang boss." Amidst his praise, he extended his left hand as a ferocious mouth opened up on the human skin. Shrill screams resounded in the basement, but it didn't stop after a few seconds. All that was left were echoes. Klein sat in his seat watching silently as the bright points of light slowly gathered in front of him. As it should be. Awful men, you know what? I'm not saying that, here's the thing. I'm never going to say we should kill people. However, there are some people who do things that maybe shouldn't be around. Maybe. Klein sat in his seat watching silently as the bright points of light slowly gathered in front of him. Around him, all the goons that were suffering from inconceivably distinct themselves from him. As they crawled, they left stains on the ground. Moments later, Klein slowly stood up. He bent down to pick up the pure spherical light that was the size of a baby's fist, as well as the wallet inside Ozzel's clothes. After stealing a glance at the thickness of the wad of cash, he pulled away the two items and holstered his revolver. He took out his top hat and borrowed the trembling goons in the corner. Klein checked the underground area, and he was done with everything. To regret, he didn't discover any items like a safe. All he could do was return via the passageway, pick up Wormtongue Mither's corpse, and walk to the entrance. He paused for 2 seconds at the scene outside was naturally outlined in his mind. He discovered that the bouncers, who would imagine would attempt to open the door to provide help, had already disappeared. The dragon's might from just now made them realize that it's a battle between Beyonders, so they retreated. As expected of a region where pirates were everywhere, some ordinary people still have a chance of understanding about Beyonders. It seems such matters happen often here. Some fugitive suddenly gets arrested by the mandated punishers. Klein undid the mental charms and reached for Mither King's pocket, passing and took a cash. He held back the urge to count his earnings as he burned the paper figurine and threw it outside before opening the doors to the entrance. He then walked out Mither's corpse. At that moment, most of the customers in the bar were gone. There were only 8 people hiding in different spots, await the outcome. Klein surveyed the area without any expression as he saw frantically retracted. The only person who dared to look at him head on was Oz Kent. He was frowning and watched Gammon Sparrow carry a corpse over slowly. Bang! The corpse flew out in front of him, smashing over the table. Oz Kent focused his gaze and pupils instantly contracted. Wormtongue Mither King, Vice Admiral Elman's third mate, Mither King. He looked up in shock, stealing another glance at Gammon Sparrow. Klein revealed a faint smile. "Remember my bounty." With that said, he took his half-top hat, bowed slightly as a form of bidding farewell, and turned to leave through the Amherst Leaf Bar main door. Bayham Harbor on the White Agate. Ellen watched as the door to the captain's cabin was slammed open. He asked in surprise, "Kent, what happened?" Oz Kent questioned him with a warning expression. "Ellen, what kind of monster did you introduce me to?" "Gammon Sparrow?" Ellen returned with a question, feeling somewhat uncertain. Oz Kent nodded. "He killed Wormtongue and Strongman without batting an eye, right inside Amherst Leaf Bar, right in front of me. I didn't even take 5 minutes. He felt like he was going crazy." "Mither King?" Ellen asked, but he sounded like he was repeating the name to himself. Then he revealed a rueful smile. "From the looks of it, we have to report to the higher-ups. He didn't mention Blazing Donnets nor Steel Mavetti's death." "All right." Oz Kent was waiting for him to say that. At 3 in the afternoon inside the garden building near the Governor General's office, Ellen and Oz Kent were sitting in an elegant, decorated living room as they awaited the reply from the important figure. After an unknown amount of time, a young man with neatly combed back blonde hair walked down the staircase and said to the two, "The general says that since he temporarily doesn't show any animosity, we should honor the agreement and continue our cooperation from before. However, we must be careful. Send a telegram back to Backlund and secretly investigate his true identity and intentions here at sea. Also, spread the news that he killed Mither King to the pirates." "Yes, Mr. Luna." After receiving clear instructions, Elend and Oz Kent immediately heaved a sigh of relief. Inside the inn, Klein did a divination and counted his cash, confirming that he received 327 pounds, 9 solly, and 5 pence, and beyond a characteristic from a Sequence 8 pugilist from the Warrior Pathway. This was also an item worth 600 to 700 pounds. Furthermore, there's Mither's bounty. Even if I deduct the labor fees, there will still be several thousand pounds. Oz Kent might not dare to take his cut. This is quite a good harvest. It's like a windfall, Klein thought in comfort before holding a ritual, sending creeping hunger up to the gray fog. To be frank, it felt that Dragon Might, Frenzy, and Psychologist Q were 3 rather useful Beyonder powers, and he couldn't bear to part with. However, since he had already promised Miss Justice, he ultimately chose to abide by his promise. Chapter 601, Scaring Oneself. Okay, we're gonna stop here. We're gonna stop here. We're gonna finish up. I gotta study up all of the pathways? That's kind of crazy. There you go. Okay. I think it fixed. Okay, well, we're gonna stop here. We're all done. Thank you, Cami, for doing the music. That was a crazy chunk of chapters. Also, I did not think that we would read as much as we did. Good for us. We really cleared past that. And then you guys made an amazing quiz, which we're gonna get to do tomorrow. So, yay! Love that so much. Other than that, that's all I have. Thank you guys so much for joining. I had so much fun. I will see you guys tomorrow at 7 o'clock for my execution. And we're gonna just, I'm gonna go study up on all the Beyonder pathways and literally everything and anything I can, because I don't actually know what's going to be on this test, but the fact that it's 47 questions and it's not multiple choice, I'm a little scared. No, I am cooked. I'm so cooked. Other than that, thank you guys so much for coming. I'm gonna go eat some food, and then I'm gonna go study, and then I'm gonna go to bed. You guys have a wonderful day, or a wonderful night, or a wonderful whatever time frame you guys are in, and love you and appreciate you guys a long time. I will see you tomorrow. Bye-bye. Yeah, I'll brace myself. Yeah, everybody say bye to Mr. and Mrs. Door.